After shooting a woman named Renée Nicole Good while ICE was running a large-scale immigration enforcement operation in Minneapolis, many citizens judged the act as a very sinful and excessive violence by federal authorities. This time, ICE collaborated with the FBI to atone for its sins and improve its image by boldly exposing and arresting dozens of human trafficking network perpetrators in Minnesota. Watch until the end and give a like, subscribe, and give your comments on this video. We want to know your opinion. For many years, this human trafficking network has operated in silent. They leave no noticeable traces, do not cause a commotion, and are barely touched by the law. Behind legal business, densely populated leases, and illegal immigration routes, a system of human exploitation is carried out neatly and organized. Initial reports have actually appeared a long time ago. Complaints of migrant workers who disappeared, victim testimony that never went to court, to the suspicious flow of money that crossed several states. But all of them are divided, isolated, and difficult to be united into one big picture. Until finally, two United States federal agencies began to see the same pattern. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, and Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, found a link between illegal immigration cases, document forgery, and alleged labor exploitation and cross-state human trafficking. Intelligence data shows that this is not an individual crime, but a systematic network with a clear command structure. The initial investigation was carried out behind closed doors. Agents did not immediately make arrests. They start with long-term observation, tracking movements, communications, and financial transactions. Every information is verified in layers because a small mistake can dismantle the operation prematurely. This is where the complexity of this case begins to appear. The network took advantage of the victim's fears, the threat of deportation, economic pressure, and full dependence on smugglers. Many victims do not realize that they have entered into a human trafficking scheme until their freedom is completely gone. According to law enforcement sources, most of the victims were recruited through legal work promises. But upon arrival in the United States, their documents were withheld. Working hours were extended without decent wages, and access to the outside world was cut off. This system is designed to make the victim obedient, without the need for open violence. As the evidence began to strengthen, the ICE and the FBI realized that a regular approach would not be enough. This is not just the arrest of the perpetrators of the field, but an attempt to uncover the entire chain of crime, from recruiters, supervisors, to the main mastermind who has been hiding behind the legitimate business layer. Then, a combined operation began to be designed. Not a quick operation, but a long strategy that requires extreme patience. Every step must be precise, because one information leak can make this network disappear without a trace, and the victims are again trapped in the shadows. Press like as a form of our support for the disclosure of hidden cases. And why can crimes like this last so long without being seen? Write your answer in the comments. After months of gathering intelligence, the joint operation finally entered the most decisive phase. At this stage, ICE and FBI are no longer just observing. They began to move, silently, coordinated, and with no room for error. The operation is arranged in several layers. The target is not just one location, but a network of points that are interconnected in several cities. Houses, warehouses, labor recruitment offices, and business places that have been looking legal are all included in the target list. The goal is clear: prevent the perpetrators from escaping or destroying evidence. In the early morning, when the city's activity was at its lowest point, the field teams began to take positions. ECE agents focus on the immigration and identification aspects of victims, while the FBI handles securing locations, arresting key suspects, and confiscating documents and digital devices. Once the operation begins, the situation changes rapidly. In some locations, the perpetrators were shocked and did not resist. But at another point, agents face an attempt to deceive. Doors locked from the inside, documents burned, and emergency communication sent to warn other members of the network. Behind the tension, the main focus remains on the victims. Many of them were reluctant to speak at first. Fear still dominates. Fear of arrest, fear of deportation, fear of retribution. Agents who are trained to handle human trafficking cases must work extra hard, explaining that this operation is not to punish the victims, but to save them. In some locations, the conditions found show a real picture of exploitation. Narrow spaces used as places to live, excessive working hours, and strict supervision that limits freedom of movement. All of that is strong evidence that this is not just an immigration violation, but an organized crime against humanity. Meanwhile, the FBI analysis team began extracting data from computers, mobile phones, and financial records. From here, the scale of the network begins to be clearly visible. The flow of money leads to several states, even involving third parties that have not been detected so far. Towards the end of the first day of operation, dozens of perpetrators were arrested. Several main suspects were detained, while hundreds of documents and digital evidence were confiscated. But for ICE and the FBI, this is not the end, and this operation is full of risks and critical decisions. If you appreciate the work of intelligence and courage behind this raid, give a like to this video. Share your opinion in the comments. Is this kind of combined operation enough, or is another approach still needed? The joint operation of ICE and the FBI did not end when the gates of the raid site were closed. Precisely after that, the real impact began to be seen. In a matter of days, the findings from the field developed into a large-scale federal case that shook the United States law enforcement system. The results of the analysis of documents and digital devices reveal a shocking fact. This human trafficking network has been operating for years with an almost unchanged pattern. They take advantage of legal loopholes, weak labor supervision, and the victim's fear of the authorities. This combination creates a stable and hard-to-detect exploitation system. Furthermore, further investigation shows that the network does not stand alone. Some shell companies and financial intermediaries are used to disguise the flow of funds, while fictitious employment contracts are used as legal shields. This practice allows the main actors to stay away from legal risks, even when their operations generate large profits. For the victims, this operation became a turning point. They were transferred to temporary protection facilities, received legal assistance, and early access to health and psychological services. The recovery process is certainly not instant, but for the first time, they have a safe space to talk without threats.